most vicious Caribbean storm in almost a decade, Hurricane Matthew has hit Cuba after sweeping through Haiti. Thousands of people have been forced from their homes with winds as strong as 230 kilometers per hour, bringing destruction to the region. Well, the storm has hit rural areas the hardest, leaving several people dead. The Bahamas is now on high alert as the National Hurricane Center predicts that Matthew will plow through the island chain towards Florida.
It is for us to advise you that the storm has strengthened, and from what we have seen in Haiti and elsewhere, is bringing dangerously strong winds and extremely heavy rains. As we know from the experience of last year's hurricane, these natural phenomena can be violently unpredictable.
Let's try and assess some of the damage that the storm has done. Let's speak to Jacqueline Charles, who is live for us in Port-au-Prince in Haiti. Jacqueline, I believe the storm has now left Haiti. Talk us through the damage. How did Haiti fare?
Yes, they are still assessing the damages because one of the issues is that the areas that have been hardest hit by this storm they're still not accessible. So they're hoping today to be able to go out and get a sense of it, but there's a lot of water everywhere. There's a lot of homes that have been damaged. There are 15,000 people who are currently in shelters, and we're looking at over 1,800 homes that have been flooded. But that does not take into account the Grandance, which is the hardest hit where the storm made landfall. And then also last night, the storm also battered Haiti's northern coast, and they're still trying to get a sense of just what kind of damage it left there.
Now, I know some of the people after the earthquake in 2010 are still living or were still living in makeshift shelters. I mean, how badly have they been affected? And is the government able to cope with this?
Well, there are 61,000 people today who are in shelters, who are living under tents, but they're mostly in the capital. And the capital, outside of a lot of rain and some wind, was not really that seriously impacted. The biggest effect right now are people who are in the outskirts of the capital, in the province, in the rural area. The government is doing the best that it can. This is a government that is cash-strapped, as I've said. They have an election that's scheduled for Sunday that costs $55 million that they've had to cobble together themselves. And they're basically looking to see what is that needs to be done and what are they best able to do. Their biggest concern today, though, is cholera. It has killed 9,000 people. It has sickened 700,000. And with this water everywhere, as you're seeing, their concern is that we can have a huge spike, a deadly spike in cholera in this country.
Okay, Jacqueline, good to speak to you. Jacqueline Charles there for us in Port-au-Prince. Let's go to Florida and speak to our reporter, Steve Mort. Steve, what are you hearing? What is the latest on track for Hurricane Matthew in Florida, and what is it going to mean for you?
Yes, that's right. Well, the hurricane at the moment, as you mentioned, is moving across the Bahamas. The Bahamas is a very low-lying chain of islands, an archipelago, if you like, and there's not much land there to get in the way. It's just mostly warm water between where the hurricane is right now and Florida. What we're expecting at the moment is some strengthening so that this hurricane becomes a Category 4 storm once again before making its nearest approach to the state where I am right now. What we expect is that it will come close, possibly graze the coastline of South Florida, highly populated area where Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and Palm Beach are, and then move up the coast to Cape Canaveral, to the area where the Kennedy Space Center is, and close to where I am in Orlando. Of course, that path could deviate at any time. The National Hurricane Center here in Florida is, of course, watching the situation very closely, trying to make sure that they keep on top of that and keep people warned. What we know is the storm is then set to move out to sea, and future forecasts, which are notoriously unreliable, then predict that it could make a loop and make a second hit on Florida. So certainly a lot of people here very concerned and making preparations.
So what preparations are they making? What sort of advice have they been given?
Well, what people are being told to do at the moment is make sure that they have storm preparation kits in place. You know, one of the big problems that authorities here have is that many people suffer from what they call hurricane amnesia. You know, it's been quite a long time since Florida took a direct hit from a hurricane, and many people didn't live in the state at the time. So they haven't experienced the full effects of a major hurricane and what that can mean. So people are being urged to make sure that they have a supply of food, a supply of batteries, that they also go to local stores and get hold of sandbags, that kind of thing, because rain is expected to be a major issue, particularly along the coastline, with something up to a foot of rain expected in some areas. That's a lot of rain, and to basically shore up buildings. You know, structural damage is a possibility, roof damage is a possibility, and also down trees, that kind of thing. So people are being urged basically to be prepared for what could be a very, very significant storm.
Okay, Steve, many thanks for that. Steve Mort there for us in Florida.